You say that many insurance companies are thriving while their policyholders are suffering. How is this happening?
Well, that's a great question. How is it happening? How is the government, especially the state governments, allowing this? I'll give you a great example. In Florida, we went almost 12 years without a hurricane. So the insurance companies saw great profits during that time. We have one hurricane, and next thing you know, you have 7 insurance companies going bankrupt. So where is that money? And I think some of the studies that have been commissioned show that that money went offshore, and that many of the CEOs, like you mentioned, had big bonuses.
We were doing some research on this, and they make demands on what the rates are going to be, and they're complied with. We found all but 0.2% of the time, because apparently they're afraid if they don't comply, they'll just pick up and move out and leave people uninsured.
That's exactly right. And again, speaking of Florida, that's what happened. Insurance companies made the threat that they were all going to leave unless they had these big, huge rate hikes, where we've seen over a 60% rate hike just in Florida in the last 2 years. And it's unfortunate that these insurance companies are increasing rates and decreasing coverages. So policies are stripped of coverages. You're paying more and you're getting less.
It's the same way in California. There are some of the major companies that have just moved out. They just won't insure. There are 3 or 4 of the majors that will not insure in California at any price.
That's right. There's certain sections of California where you can't get fire insurance at all. No insurance companies are insuring them for fire. So these people are having to basically self-insure and go without coverages or protection. And that puts the policyholder, the homeowner, in a very vulnerable position because they lose everything. And where are they going to get the resources to replace all of that? And it either has to come from their savings, retirements, or it's going to have to come from community and charity.
And it has a profound effect on people. You say you've had 15 or 20 clients that you believe died from the stress of all this.
Yes, I have had clients who have died during the claims process just from pure stress. I also have had quite a few clients who have filed for divorce because of the stress and the pressure, the frustration of dealing with insurance companies, dealing with a complete and total loss, puts so much pressure and emotional stress on the family unit as a whole that it just destroys it in a lot of cases.
Yeah, and it's really tough. Robin and I have been through a number of direct hit tornadoes. You go by and you see a pile of rocks where a house was and a American flag in it and a sign saying, "We'll be back." There's adrenaline and then after a few days, all the media leaves, all the news vans are gone, and the people are just left there alone, and the adjusters come in, and that's when the war starts, and there's nobody there to help. There's nobody there to fight back. You remember us walking through the neighborhoods, and there's just insulation flying and getting in everybody's clothes, and gas leaks everywhere. People are afraid to turn on the electricity because there's still gas leaks going. You remember that?
Yes, it was all devastating. It's like a war zone. It's like a war zone, especially with a tornado. But we've also been through a flood, which is so devastating. When the water recedes, everything stays just like like the water is still in your home. And it's touched everything. And I can just imagine with a fire, same way you can't rescue anything. So yes, everything is so devastating, and it doesn't go away.
We're gonna meet a California mother who says she's doing everything she can to protect her home, but the insurance companies tell her, "I don't care, it's not enough." We're gonna add her to the conversation after the break. If you're worried about IRS collection tactics, you don't have to face them alone. Tax Network USA is here to help. Tax Network USA is the nation's premier tax relief firm and has negotiated over $1 billion in tax relief for clients. Our services include penalty forgiveness, hardship programs where you might not have to repay anything until your tax debt expires, and offer in compromise solutions for lump sum settlements. Whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, our experts are ready to assist you. Even if you're behind on taxes due to missing personal or business records, Tax Network USA can guide you through the process. Tax season is long over, and for the IRS, that means it's collection season. To schedule complimentary consultation, call 1-800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/Dr. Phil. Don't let the IRS's aggressive tactics control your life. Take charge of your financial future. Visit tnusa.com/Dr. Phil today. Jamie is a mother and wife who thought she was doing everything right to keep her family safe, but now she says she is terrified the next wildfire could take everything from them.
I live in Santa Cruz, California with my husband and my 11-year-old daughter. Fire just continues to be a risk for us. Last spring, I learned that we would be losing our homeowners insurance. It felt like the end of the world. I called probably 50 companies that first week. We finally found a company that would write our policy, and we were so happy until the price came in. And the price came in at $24,000. We were paying $2,500 before. We would never be able to afford that. We were told that if we joined to our community in this FireWise program, that would protect us from losing our homeowners insurance. We actually did a voluntary inspection and we got a gold star from our fire department. So we went back to our insurance company and we pleaded with them to please consider keeping us as a customer. They said there was nothing they could do. They would be dropping us. We are now extremely underinsured. We were able to find a way to keep our home, but if a fire comes, we'll lose everything. Our home means the world to us. For that to just go up in flames would just break us.
Jamie, you say this just leaves you constantly on edge, right?
Yeah.
And your husband is a combat veteran.
Yeah.
He has disabilities that you manage, and you have an 11-year-old daughter. Mm-hmm. How did you learn that you were canceled?
I was scrolling through the news one morning and I saw an article in kind of an obscure insurance journal that said that my insurance company was going to start canceling policies again in California. And I just had this feeling in the pit of my stomach that we might be on that list. So I called my agent and they actually had no idea what I was talking about. And then they called me a few hours later and said, we just got the list, and yes, you will be canceled.
You've never had a claim.
Nope.
Always paid your premiums on time.
Yep.
So you got proactive and joined this organization in your community called what?
Called FireWise. Mm-hmm. We saw the CZU fires come through our town in 2020 and saw the devastation and families losing their homes. And I knew that we needed to do more to protect ourselves in a fire. Mm-hmm. We are in a vulnerable area surrounded by forest. Fire is a very real threat. Mm-hmm. And so the FireWise program provides a framework for neighbors to work together proactively to protect their homes and their community. And it educates neighbors on things like home hardening, fire clearance, and provides resources to do what we can.
Yeah, and so you did all that.
Yeah, my neighbors and I have spent over $100,000 hardening our homes.
And the answer was?
It didn't matter. They didn't care.
Didn't care. Still not going to cover you.
Still not going to cover me.
And did you shop around and find somebody that would quote you?
So I don't take no for an answer very well. So I got on the phone and I was going to call every insurance company in the book. And after many calls, I finally found a company that would insure us, and the quote came in at $25,000.
Yeah, over $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More than my mortgage.
Wow. Unbelievable. So did you get into the state program?
So I reached out to them next. I assumed that their quote would be high as well, and I knew that the coverage would not be ideal. It's really bare bones coverage. Their quote came in for bare bones coverage at about $15,000.
And what's the deductible?
I think it was around $50,000. I set it as high as I possibly could.
Yeah, to get the premium down.
Yeah.
Help us out here. Give us the answers.
I wish I had them, Dr. Phil. There's no magic solution, unfortunately. I see this quite a bit, and now the insurance companies are eroding coverages by adding in these roof depreciation schedules and 1% matching, these 3% and 5% deductibles where you're getting the $25,000 to $40,000, even $50,000 deductibles. It's unbelievable that you're paying more and you're getting so much less.
But still, the premiums are,
Continuing to skyrocket,
yeah.
right? And you have to wonder where it goes, but the reports don't show that the carriers are losing money. What it's showing is that they're continuing to record record-breaking profits. If that's the case, what's happening? They're saying that they have to increase the premiums to cover these losses that they're making in underwriting, but the numbers just aren't adding up.
You say sometimes the adjusters change their estimates and they've misrepresented costs to the clients.
That's exactly right.
Give me, what are you talking about?
So I have the pleasure of representing some whistleblowers. These are adjusters who work for the insurance companies. These adjusters showed me over and over again where they would go out to a loss and they would write an estimate to replace that loss. Then they would send it in to their third-party administrator, the TPA, or to the desk adjuster inside the insurance company. And they would change those estimates and reduce them down. An example of one of how much they were reducing them was he wrote an estimate for $400,000 and some odd for a total loss. The estimate that was sent to the policyholder was for $35,000.
$35,000.
Right. Now, this isn't happening just in one state. I now have evidence of this taking place all over the country. Repair estimates, replacement estimates are being reduced by as much as 90% across the board to prevent payment. So what carriers are doing, in my opinion, is they're playing the numbers game. If you want to get paid, you have to come make us pay you. That's why when you said a while ago, the war starts, man, that's great. I'm going to steal that from you because it's the truth. That is when the war starts. You can't get paid unless you force them to pay you. And unfortunately, many policyholders are not versed in this area of law, or this area, period. And because of that, they can't understand the policies because they're written to where sometimes I don't even understand what they're saying. And I work in this area for a long period of time. So where are the coverages? How do you determine what's covered, what's not? And if you have a loss, how do you get paid? The only way anymore to get paid properly, to get your coverages, is if you hire either a licensed public insurance adjuster or an attorney. And it shouldn't be that way. Insurance companies should extend coverage that is due to policyholders on the front end and stop trying to hide the ball to make policyholders go through hell to get paid.
Sometimes it's just an attrition game, right? They just wear them out. It's just like, just wear them down. Finally, they'll just take whatever they offer them.
I cannot tell you how many times I have policyholders call me and say, I've called my insurance company 10, 15, 20 times. I've sent 30 emails. Nobody's answering. Nobody's talking to me. They silence them. And they play the waiting game, hoping that they just go away. They deny, deny, deny.
And every time they deny, you think about it, if they've got a big book of claims on their hands and they can push them off 30 days, 60 days, that's a lot of money they're saving by not paying those claims until 60, 90 days, sometimes a year later. They're making money on that money.
Well, to give you a great example of that, in Florida, when Hurricane Helene hit, there were still 50,000 policyholders who had not been paid from Hurricane Ian 2 years prior. Why did it take 2 years and 50,000 policyholders are still not paid?